journalists though, because they kind of, I'm not gonna say they took us under their wing, but they took the time to understand who we were. So instead of seeing us as a threat of who are these guys going to try and take our jobs, do you know what I mean? They took the time to understand me as a person, and then I've had a personal relationship with a couple of them, and that really helped. But you're right. I think there's just, I call it journalistic snobbery. It's there. It is there because they feel threatened of this new type of media. Not all. There's a lot of journalists who really are embracing it because it's the whole adapt or die situation. I don't want to get left behind. 100%. I've got. If someone was entering into my space now, say it might be TikTok or Twitch or something that's kind of new, I'm not going to be like, oh, I do YouTube, I'm not doing that. No, it's changing. You have to be involved with the change, and I think that's where the friction comes from. Even fans who don't want to change with the times or accept that times are changing. That's where the friction comes, just in life in general. So yeah, you're right. I definitely did feel that from just being in there. It came from that 100% from being there.
And you end up with channels, sports programs called Extra, Match of the Day Extra.
Yeah,
just kind of in that space.
Yeah.
And
that's the mainstream way of saying, okay, we need this thing to be part of it, but we're still a bit unsure of how this really works. But we need to have a little dip of our toes in that water. So we're just, like you said, exactly.
Yeah, a little bit of a shock.
100%.
So they've
it wasn't us.
So yeah, it's like they've given Match of the Day extra shot, and like Robbie's project, the Real Football Fan Show, that kind of had its place.
Yeah.
And like you said, like you've been on Sky Sports BT a number of times. You've had Mark on there. It is kind of, there are more and more appearances being made on the mainstream, I'd say, for
100%.
YouTubers. Do you think that ultimately social media will almost suffocate the mainstream in terms of, because that is where the demand is right now, isn't it?
That's why they're changing. If you look at Sky Sports, and I've got to commend Sky Sports because through Simone, like some personal stuff, well, it's not personal, it's public, to be fair. When I've been going through things against mainstream journalists who have come for me, Sky were right there behind me. Sky were right there saying, they rang me on a personal and said, listen, Flex, this is what's going on. We stand with you. How can we help, etc., etc. They've been really good. But even just the way that football is done now, or is broadcasted, Sky Sports are putting their stuff up on YouTube. They're doing YouTube streaming. They're getting chunks on. They're doing the Saturday social.
Yeah.
The Soccer AM's changing.
Yeah.
Like BT are doing it as well.
Before the end of the game.
They got goal clips up before the end of the game. Why? YouTube, where it's at, streaming. People don't want to have to wait till Match of the Day for a big analysis for this, that, and the other. I want to go on my phone straight away after the game. What are the goals? What happened? Tell me. Show me. It's on Twitter straight away. Even in game, BT are putting up the goals, interactions, retweets. So what is happening is, you're right. I don't know if it will suffocate them, because actually what I think is that the mainstream media is becoming aware that if they don't change, they will get suffocated. Do you see what I'm saying? So they're going, actually, adapt or die. Let's just become the conversation. Let's be the ones to put out that clip first on Twitter instead of, the fan channel or this, because we have the rights. Let's do it. Let's do it. So I think they're starting to understand that their role needs to change, unless they will die, so they don't get suffocated.
One of the things I find with fan media is there has been one channel which I just find it's just comedy. So it's become a circus. So it's like after a game, I'm gonna head to there because it's been entertainment.
Yeah. Why do you always do this? I mean, I'm beginning to think that you have an agenda here. Like, I've been working with you for a while now.
Agenda.
What is your problem with AFTV? Hey, just be honest.
I love AFTV. I actually love. I think for production-wise, it's brilliant, and I think for what it does and the growth of it. It kind of, at some point, it must realise what it's doing and how it gets its viewers. So, and I think AFT is brilliant. I really do. And I become a fan of it, not for being a fan point of view, but I think it's a great program.
You're part of, I was about to say, you're part of another major audience. The primary audience for AFTV would be Arsenal fans who want to interact with their fan base. The secondary audience, which is arguably a bigger one, is about just enjoying the content for whatever reason that might be. And I think that's another reason why it's taken off so much, fan media in general, just because there are those two massive audiences.
And if you look 100%. Look at United Stand, Mark is entertaining. So I'd watch that channel for Mark. And Flex included.
People buy into the personalities, and this is exactly what it is. These people are real people. So you take AFT for instance, AFTV. I know a lot of the guys on there personally. I've spent a lot of time around them, made a lot of content with them, speak to them on and off camera. You know what I'm saying? I've always known DT before he was even in here. We live in the same town, and the characters came first. The characters are genuine. They are themselves. If you see these people away from camera, honestly, they are how they are. Troops before he is that person. Ty is exactly how he is. God rest his soul, Claude. Listen, I'm telling you, Claude, the same. These people love Arsenal Football Club, and they are exactly how they are off camera. Even though you wouldn't believe it, you'd think no one could be that angry. You're just doing that to get the clicks or to get the virality. They are like that, and I think that's where the misconception comes from as well, because it can divide people. Of course it can. When the Arsene Wenger thing happened, and AFTV solely were blamed for Arsene Wenger leaving the club. Not the fact that Arsenal were doing shit for ages and were about to not be in the Champions League. Not the fact that they haven't won the Premier League since 2004. None of them things are the reason why Arsene Wenger got sacked.
And started losing money because people weren't turning up.
Do you know what I'm saying? There were no bums on seats. I remember that last season. Exactly. There were games. You could see red seats. No, none of those things are the reason, but you want to blame people who are given their opinion. Now, I get it. It can. This is what I talk about the when you grow big and you don't. It changes because you want to keep being organic and giving your opinion. You're a fan, and this is where sometimes it can get a bit tricky. But then because you're seen by so many, you then start having a responsibility. But to the average fan who goes on there, so let's say Ty. Is Ty going to see it that he has a responsibility, or is he just the same old Ty who just keeps giving his opinion? It's a hard brush to tarnish someone with, because the organisation needs to start then filtering through content to say, right, quality control. So this is what I do. When we're doing fan cams, people don't see the ones that don't go up, because you get someone who's waiting to go on, and I can see them, I can spot them on my left. They're going, I can't wait for my moment. When I go on there, I'm going to give it all I've got. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to swear, and I look at it, and I go, that's not going up. Like, you're there insulting players. You're there. I can sense that it's not sincere. You're just doing it because you think that that's going to be the thing that makes you big. Youngsters look at YouTube. The youngsters look at social media and influencers, and they do want to be the next one. And I think that's important to inspire the next. I get that. But I also think it's important to show them that they need to be themselves to do it. Do you know what I mean? They need to be themselves to do it. And I just think that sometimes gets unfairly put onto just regular fans. That responsibility.
Okay. So leading on from that, then the final question I want to ask you is, what with new faces kind of maybe having different agendas for why they want to be on the screen, what is next for fan media? Where can you see it going in the next, say, 5 years?
Basically, I want to know how do I get on?
There you go.
How do I get my shot?
We knew this is like your audition tape for Arsenal Fan TV. As I said earlier on, long time ago.
There's been so many audition tapes.
Give me my shot.
Bro, put the camera on, get your opinion out there. I always say the people decide, innit? The people decide what they think is good. The same with anything. The same with if you're a rapper or a singer. How do I get my song to blow up, man? Well, you just make it and then people decide if they like it. Do you know what I'm saying? You just have to be yourself. But where do I see fan media going? I think it's such a tough question, because if you'd have asked me 5 years ago if I would have envisaged it being where it is now, I would have not have believed it. So based on that logic, I have to assume that it's only going to keep growing. And with myself, my journey of how it's changed from just being in front of a camera on United Stand to, like you said, just going on to mainstream things like Sky Sports and stuff like that and hosting events, I can only see it improving. I think we will see, not in this Euros and stuff and the next World Cup, but I think there will be like a panel of like when you're at the World Cup and it'll be like a fan there or someone from fan media, a journalist and an ex-player. I think we'll start going down that.
I really hope so. Because ultimately, when you're watching like mainstream coverage, that's an element that's just so clearly missing from it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, Flex, it's been a great chat. Thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom. And you might even see Ken rivaling the United stand one day.
I hope so. He seems determined, and that's what it's about.
Already.
No, thanks for having me, man.
Nice one, man.
Baller of the week.
And now it's time to head into our final part of the show. It is Baller of the Week. Ken, do you want to go first, or should I go first this time?
I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. I see that you feel like you sussed me out, didn't it?
You should do that circling motion.
So my baller of the week is my guy, Thierry Henry. Basically, he's the latest person of note to take a stand against online abuse, which is obviously very topical in what we've been discussing about in the show so far. He released a statement, and I'll read part of it. I won't read the whole thing, but he says, I'll be removing myself from social media until the people in power are able to regulate their platforms with the same vigor and ferocity that they currently do when you infringe copyright. The sheer volume of racism, bullying, and resulting mental torture to individuals is too toxic to ignore. There has to be some accountability. And I feel so. Initially, I was very skeptical about the impact that this could have, just because I feel like linking it to copyright infringement. Everyone knows that the reason copyright infringement is dealt with so harshly and so quickly is because it costs money, and there's so many like legal aspects to that. So it's stamped out. Messages that are being shared online, regardless what the content of those messages are, ultimately makes money. It's what keeps these apps running. They need the watch time, the view time, the type time, whatever you want to call it. They need you to be using the app so they can put adverts in front of you and make their money. But I feel like if more people kind of do this with Thierry Henry and get themselves off social media, it will start to hit them in the pocket. These companies will start losing endorsements. Their share prices will drop because they don't have enough influencers to keep enough people on the app. So I feel like ultimately this could be the first real step to clamping down on sort of racism and bullying online. You might say particularly in the football world or just generally. So Thierry Henry is my baller of the week.
Wow, that's considering. You know what? There's two ways I could look at that. Well, I've been off social media, and obviously I do know sometimes it is a little bit unhealthy. So I kind of understand exactly where Mr. Thierry Henry has gone with that. But for you to go and use that as your ball of the week, it's like anything I say, there isn't really much. Very moment. I mean, my one was actually really going to be a sporting baller of the week, but now you've gone to go and tug the heartstrings of Mr. Chris.
I mean, Thierry Henry's the greatest footballer that's ever played in this country. So
get on with it.
He's still angry about the Liverpool comment. Okay. Well, look, my ball of the week is just someone who I think at the moment, at this time, when everybody always mentions football, they talk about some of the biggest names out there. So you're talking about your Cristiano Ronaldo's, Lionel Messi's, even we're talking about Sergio Aguero. But I think this footballer, he's my ball of the week, just simply because of the last few games I've watched him play. He's astounding, as in the most complete footballer I can think of right now, who's coming to probably the prime of his career and is now trying to destroy a current one of the longest standing records in football. In Germany, it's Robert Lewandowski. Robert Lewandowski is right now probably up for, even though football has been behind closed doors, his continuous growth as a footballer, left foot, right foot, header, penalties, whatever it is, we talk about all these new young guys who are coming through, your Haalands, your Mbappes, and so forth. But if they're looking at a complete footballer, everybody wants to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. But to me, Lewandowski right now is the kind of pinnacle striker out there. At 32 years old, he's beaten every record out there is.